To go ahead and get started. It is 7 o'clock on the nose. Thank you for joining us for City Council this evening. Hope everyone had a nice Valentine's Day. We do, as we enter our moment of silent reflection tonight, had a conversation yesterday afternoon with the mayor of the city of Petersburg. Petersburg lost a pretty large chunk of their downtown this week to a structure fire. We know how that goes here in Buckhannon. They do not have near the footprint in Petersburg that Buckhannon has, and in fact right across the street they had already lost that many years ago, and it's a parking lot right now. So I counted about 8 buildings in the row, and they lost 3 of those. So that's all they have left of their downtown. So keep the city of Petersburg and the mayor and the fire department and folks over there in your thoughts and prayers as we enter into our moment of silence. Thank you very much. We will ask the new president and CEO of Community Care of West Virginia to lead us in the pledge tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just had to put Trish on the spot there tonight. We do want to welcome our friends from up the street at Community Care of West Virginia. I got the privilege of beginning the day with Community Care at a community gathering this morning at 77 West Main Street, the former Citizens Bank and Bill Kelly location, where they unveiled the 2 pictures that you see to our right, to many of you in the audience's left. This is what they're thinking for the new building to be constructed here in our downtown on North Kanawha Street. So, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to whomever, Trish, Jamie, whomever would like to present to us from Community Care. Good evening and welcome.
Well, thank you, and thank everyone for having us here this evening as we bring some exciting news to you guys from Community Care. So as you're all aware, Community Care of West Virginia started as Tri-County Health Clinic over 40-some years ago in Rock Cave, and we have expanded our footprint over the last several years. We are excited to unveil our new clinic that we are anticipating to start working on this coming summer with anticipation of having the project completed 2026, 2027. As you're aware, Upshur County is designated as a health provider shortage area when it comes to medical services. Upshur County has 1,620 patients per one provider, whereas the state average is 1,270 per one provider. So Community Care plans to build a new healthcare facility in Buckhannon called Community Care Buckhannon Integrated Health and Education Center. The new 4-story building will be an integrated system consisting of expanded pharmacy with a drive-through, an outpatient lab. It will continue with outpatient family practice services, behavioral health services, pediatrics, and along with an education center on the 4th floor. Our plan for the education center is to help with development of workforce development and training of new healthcare professionals and members of our community. We anticipate of bringing approximately 60 healthcare professionals within the organization of this building to provide services. It will include an integrated healthcare model encompassing, as we stated, behavioral health, primary care, pharmacy, and clinical. As you know, Care Express currently, our new facility will stay as where it is. Our facility on Main Street will become our administrative offices, and the primary care services that are currently offered there will move to the new building. Pediatrics at Northridge will go to, over from Northridge over to the new building. We currently lease the space at Northridge, and we will let that lease go as we expand the services into this area. So we're really excited about this, and we wanted to bring it here to you. Of course, as many of you are aware, we bought the Moose property a couple years ago on North Kanawha Street, and that's where it will be placed. And then we will ensure and work with everybody for the drive-through pharmacy. The plan is the drive-through will go around the back side of the building, and then people will be able to exit onto Spring Street there. It will also, we have a great working relationship with St. Joseph's Hospital and our other current medical partners in the area, so we're excited to continue with the expansion services.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. Do you want to, while you're up, do you want to introduce the folks from Community Care you have with you?
Yes, so the people I have with from Community Care tonight is James Parker, and he is our legal counsel and also works with our compliance. We have Heather Powell, who is our HR director, with us tonight.
Great.
Well, I think it looks great. I mean, what a transition from a place that serves alcohol and gambling
Yes.
to healthcare. Now, not to minimalize the good things that the Moose would do, or fraternal organization, but I agree. There is a shortage of healthcare in our, effective, especially for behavioral issues.
Absolutely.
And so anything we can do, and the community at large, let us know, and I strongly support this.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I support it also. I got a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
Would you do any work with relationship with Wesley and their nursing program at all?
Absolutely. We
Like
work
answer.
with them closely now anyway. They do a lot of clinical time within our different school-based health locations, things like that, yes. We do work with Pure Ponds, community and technical, the vocational. So yes, we are all about working those partnerships and stuff with the development of education systems. I mean, there's so many things that we can do. I'm excited.
Well, I understand there's a real shortage nationally with nursing.
Yes.
Also, I understand that Community Care purchased a motel. Is that correct?
We did purchase a motel, but tonight we want to talk about our new building, and
Okay.
we're going to table that one.
Sure. Can we talk about that sometime though?
Absolutely, at another date. We sure will.
Who should I call when I have questions about that?
You can contact me, and we will have a conversation at another time.
Okay, great.
Okay? Yes.
Trish, I want to also add, my congratulations for this. These plans is beautiful, and everything you described is going to be just magnificent for the community and offering so many, many services. Buckhannon is very blessed to have what I think is a world-class hospital up on the hill, with St. Joseph's, West Virginia University of Medicine. But I learned during WAMSB how close of a partnership you have with St. Joseph's Hospital, as well as West Virginia Wesleyan College, because Community Care provided on-site care for our competitors over on the campus. Community Care was there for us throughout the entire event, not only as a sponsor, but also providing medical services. So to have something of this nature in our community that was born out of my hometown, my home village, my home little area of Rockhaven, West Virginia. A lot of people don't realize that's where Community Care got its start. That's where I was born and raised. It's something to be very, very proud of. So I support this 100%. I think it's just a magnificent addition to the Buckhannon skyline and to the medical offerings here in town. Thank you for bringing this to us this evening.
It's very exciting. Are you in other counties also, Trish?
Yes, so Community Care of West Virginia is located, we're in Pocahontas County, Randolph County, Upshur, Lewis, Harrison, Braxton, and Clay County. Yes. We have 545 employees currently. We service over 55,000 patients. In this past year, we had over 200 and some thousand patient visits.
That's fantastic.
Great.
You guys plan to continue expanding your footprint?
We are expanding our footprint to meet the needs of our communities.
Mhm.
So as the needs come up and we run out of space, the nice thing or the funny thing has been, anytime we've done a renovation of a building or added an addition to a building, we have outgrown it by the time we take inhabitage of it. We do. So, you know, we're hoping this time we build a big enough building so that we are not outgrowing it as quickly as we have all of our other facilities.
You know, it's encouraging to hear that you have a good relationship with St. Joseph's. I think that's tremendous, but as far as medical records and things like that, is there an open communication that records can be viewed
Yes. So
at one place or the other?
Yes, so our records flow into the West Virginia Health Information Network, and so doesn't WVU's, which is St. Joseph's Records. So any patient that receives care at any of the facilities are able to, the records are able to be looked at through the West Virginia Health Information Network, and it flows freely through that, yes.
Oh, fantastic. I have experience that where two hospitals didn't communicate.
Yeah,
It was rather tiresome at times.
yeah, our system works really well with Epic, and we go back and forth, yes.
It's wonderful.
Trish, might we assume that in addition to the nursing program at Westland working with you guys closely, that the new expanded mental health and behavioral stuff that's going on at the college, that would also be some excellent placements for those people too, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've actually already committed to be the internship placement for the first class of Wesleyan. So we are working hand in hand with them to be able to provide that service.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So is the front of this on Canal Street?
So the front of the building will be facing the Elks Lodge. So if you're looking at the
Okay,
Elks,
that's
the
fine.
front of the building will be facing that, and then the one side will be facing Kanawha, and it'll have like a storefront appearance to it with some side doors to come out. Yes.
How do you get all those trees in there?
Well, you know, that's the magic of Photoshop and stuff from
They're
the
there now.
engineers, so.
They're there now, they're gonna build around
Yes,
the park.
yes, absolutely.
Just kidding.
Well, actually, one thing that you can't see that I'm proud of, we're actually gonna put like a New York style garden gazebo on top of the building.
Oh, okay.
So that our employees can go up there for lunch breaks, and we actually have different events and stuff up there. So
All right.
we're gonna have a break area on top of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, for summer,
That'd be a place to go.
yes.
You know, this is,
Fireworks there.
Upshur County it continues to be fortunate that community care calls us home. This organization is headquartered in Upshur County. And of those 500 and some employees that work for community care in total, we had a conversation this morning that likely about a third or better of those employees work right here in Buckhannon and Upshur County. So we are, anytime anyone says, well, you know, community care, they're expanding quickly, they're taking over things downtown, it's very positive because that brings, look at the jobs that it brings that support the retail stores, the restaurants that are in the downtown area already. I go to lunch, you know, at all the places downtown throughout a typical week, and you're never at a place where you don't see community care employees eating and shopping while they're at work in our downtown. So adding more here downtown is only a positive for our community. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for continuing to invest in Upshur County and in downtown Buckhannon. We know you could be anywhere, and we're very thrilled that you choose here.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
Thank you, Trish. Yeah. I want to get a picture of that picture before you take.
Oh, yeah, I was taking a photo. Can I take one? Sorry.
And we can send those to you too, I think we have a copy of the images.
Oh, I see, two pictures, they were stacked on top of that.
That's a lot of employees.
It is.
I think it's good.
And Sandra, thank you for, so this is, might remember Sandra. Sandra's with Orion Strategies here in town, and Sandra's been working hard with community care the rollout of this, and Sandra emailed us some photos this afternoon so we can share them in high resolution. So thank you for that today. Thank you.
Same to you. Be safe.
All right. Dr. Reese, Mr. McCauley.
I'll start and then I'll, I'll start. I'm just gonna hand these to you. This is exactly what I'm gonna say, even when we get to it. This is a very short presentation on my part. My class is a little bit more.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
You go ahead and give me an update. I got readers.
You're welcome. So, first of all, I want to thank you, the city council, and our city employees for your services, which allow this city to be an authentic Appalachian community that maintains its desirability. You guys do good work. But one thing I'd like to request, you have on F1 there some housing enforcement recommendations, which have something to do with maybe speeding up some of the process of the citations, and we're trying to get that instead of being lost all year long. So one thing I request you consider while doing that is the storage of waste containers by property owners. I don't know if you all noticed it, but anyhow, under zoning ordinance 244, under section 638, it requires that the garbage storage facilities be maintained in a manner that is least unattractive to the lot and surrounding neighborhood. And you'll see on the second page there's A that covers that. And then it also says, while these toters provide an excellent facility for storage, I really like them, but the storage of these toters is becoming more and more of an issue. Most, not all of the residential violations of this ordinance seem to me, as I walk through the neighborhood, to be rental properties. And most of these properties do indeed have adequate space to store the toters appropriately, but the landlords and/or tenants are not abiding by the ordinance. The situation is a growing problem and affects the appearance of the neighborhood as well as property values. So the city zoning officer's duty is to issue citations for these violations and should not be hindered by unnecessary delays, which I'm hoping this housing thing will make it more speedy to handle that stuff. So the zoning ordinance, you'll see that in B there. The zoning ordinance penalties and citation procedures need to be enforced in a timely manner in order to maintain the dignity of our neighborhoods. So that, I don't know if you've all noticed, but those toters curb all week long, and they just use them as a dumpster out front. And I've made arrangements with the city for some people that actually can't walk or something like that, for the city employee to help them get their toter back. But these people are young. Some of them are athletes, for goodness sake, so they just barely like to get it off the sidewalk and leave it out front. So anyhow, I would hope that would be included in this housing enforcement recommendations, or at least brought up when you're working out that ordinance. Okay?
Thank you.
Do you all have any questions about what I've seen or anything?
No, I've seen the same thing.
We've seen it too.
Maybe we'll deal with that when we deal with the cats down the river.
I'd like to deal with that.
And you're right, a lot of it has to do with
Yes.
renters.
That poop carries a lot of toxins.
Council Lady Bucklew has made several mention at council meetings, and her comments at the end urging people to please, put them away. And you're right, on at least every street, there's one or two houses minimum that just leave them out by the curb and don't take them in.
Well, on that rental thing, not only is it mostly renters, but there are some landlords that actually provide the space to put those in. There's some that just don't care.
Mhm.
I mean, they own several properties, and all their properties have things sitting out in the wrong place. They don't say anything to their tenants, and maybe they need to put in a lease or something.
Right. Mike, do you have some?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting over a sinus infection, so my ears are coming in and out and
Thank you.
destroying my,
I'll read it to Tom.
it's destroying my throat.
Be a bedtime story.
I just wanted to talk about what Tim was talking about, that that's this school year for the 3 houses across the street from our houses. There's like 20 times that And it's mostly trash day, they don't put their cans back, and they're just sitting there, you know, trash day is Tuesday, you know, and come Wednesday morning, every morning I go out there, I open my blinds to my house, and I'm looking at all these trash cans still sitting out there. They just cannot put them trash cans away, you know? And I tried a different approach this year. Instead of telling the college, I just started actually bugging the crap out of our code enforcement officer, you know. I'm very proud of him. I really thought he was going to block my number, you know, but he hasn't, you know. But not all of those I told him about, but there's a fair number of them. And the only way this is going to get solved, I think, is it's not the college kids. You know, I have no problem with those kids. They're good kids. I have 2 college-age kids, and if they were entrusted with moving my trash can, they would do a terrible job at it too. But the property owners are the ones you need to target and make them deal with it. That's their issue. And the best I can tell, I don't know, but I don't think any of these people has ever gotten a fine. You know, the fine is only $10, but that's not the part that's going to motivate them to fix the problem. It's that $132 municipal court fee is going to make them fix the problem. Because that's going to help them, well, I'm going to have to either check myself or pay someone to check it. I mean, they're all running businesses, and it's part of their business is to make sure the rules are followed, you know. So I don't even think about the college kids anymore. It's just the owners. The owners need to deal with this issue. Because what they're doing now is they just wait for me to text him, and then he calls them, and then they move it. That's not solving the problem, you know?
So I noticed there's only three different addresses here. Is
Yes.
all 3 properties owned by the same person?
No.
One by one and one by another.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think what might be helpful at some point in time is to bring the property owners into a housing enforcement meeting and just deal with them straight ahead.
Nobody does anything until they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Right.
fight them, but I don't know if we can make them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, we'll make them that $142 bill each time they do it. That will make them do it.
And that fine can go up to $500.
Also
If you look at
embarrassed.
one of those things,
They
it
need
goes
to be,
to court, they
they
can go
need
to
to be
prison.
embarrassed for what they're doing.
But waiting around for me to complain about it, I don't want that job anymore, you know? Right?
I hear you.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
I'll be ready.
Thank you.
I'll call them up every day.
But it's like, what's it gonna be this week, you know? Which of the 3 are gonna be the ones not putting it up, you know?
But it's all the streets down there.
Well, it's happening on Camden Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's
It's-
obvious
if
on
you
Camden.
drive
It's never
anywhere
been
in
moved.
town.
And ever been moved off the street.
Right.
It's like,
Anywhere in
ever
town,
since
you
those
see a
cans got
problem.
wheels on them, they become immovable.
Yeah.
Good point.
Some of them, when you can tell by midsummer, the grass grows up around them because they haven't been moved, but.
Well, we're gonna hear from Vincent, so don't leave, Tim.
Jerry, those
Stay.
bins don't have locks on the wheels, do they?
Yeah, you gotta stay for the good part.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming and bringing this to us. Up next, segueing right into a related subject matter, we have our code enforcement officer, Mr. Vincent Smith, who's joined us this evening. And I'd like to, at this time, if it would be okay with the council, Vincent is here to discuss F1, which is Housing Enforcement Board recommendation to City Council to amend ordinance 2016-004, or otherwise known as 404, which is the issuance of on-site citations relative to property nuisance. He also has some general updates that he's been working on since we do not see him too often at these meetings. So Vince, the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you, council, appreciate it. We are, as you hear, we are working on an ordinance. We agree with you guys that our process is too lengthy. We can't, I go out, I do a verbal warning, I do a written warning, I do 30 days. It's just like strung out way too far. and through the help of Mr. O'Neill, we will streamline that process if you guys go along with it. It'll be up to you. So the next time the cans are out, if they don't go along with it, bring it back to them.
But I have considered dragging them to someone else's house and say, you look at it for a while.
But it is an ongoing problem, and I know that, and that is why we're as frustrated as you guys are. We want to be able to get a handle on it, and we're hoping that will pass. Okay, any other questions about that? And I'm sure Tom will.
Is this the draft in our packet here?
It is.
Yes, it is a draft.
So essentially so where this came from is Vincent, Randy, and myself had a conversation following just some frustration that Vince was experiencing out in the field of the process taking so long to be able to provide an on-site citation for nuisance. And when we describe nuisance, we're really talking about high grass. I think the trash cans could fall in that, as well as porch furniture and household and lawn belongings scattered everywhere. It was taking 30 days for us to follow through with an on-site citation process, which, that's for a neighborhood that's eternity. I mean, where you've got neighbors trying to keep their properties up, and you watch months go by and this stuff just continues to accumulate. So we quickly had a housing enforcement board meeting this week, and we had the discussion where the draft comes from. That was a recommendation to council for tonight, that 30-day process be shortened all the way down to 10 days. That really, if you can't clean up, and I want to preface this is different, this is separate from actual building repair, new roofs, new windows, things like that. This is just general property cleanup.
Nuisance.
Not
an dilapidated structure.
Right. It should not take anybody longer than 10 days to clean up property that they own. And we realize too that the people that we need to be going to enforce this are the property owners. They ultimately hold the responsibility. So the housing board had about an hour and a half or so long meeting this week where a lot of topics were thrashed out. Tom was present for that. Our city judge, Helen Eckert, was present for that. Barb and Amby were here, as well as members of our housing enforcement board. And everybody was in agreement that we felt that 10 days was a good place to go to have Tom draft the revision to the ordinance to take it from 30 to 10. So that's where we are. That's the background of it tonight, because we want to help the good neighbors and give them opportunity to see their neighborhoods be nice and productive. So Tom, you want to?
Can I just maybe add a couple points to what you said, Mayor? So and I'm assuming we're addressing this under F1
Yes.
at this point. So members of the council have a draft ordinance number 466. Now this one is drafted a little bit differently than normal ordinances. I drafted this one because this is effectively an amendment to Ordinance 404, which is our most recent ordinance that deals with the enforcement of property maintenance matters. That Ordinance 404 was what's called a codified ordinance, meaning that kind of like state code, the individual bills modify the code. And there was back 8-9 years ago when there was an effort begun to, but not finished, to codify all of our city ordinances. And this ordinance was passed kind of during that time. And so this ordinance uses what's called strike and insert language. So if you see in the draft, you'll see language, text that is underlined and text that is kind of struck through. text that is underlined is going to be new text in the codified section 1711.02 to that portion of the ordinances which have been codified. Language, text that is struck through is going to be deleted from that section. So what'll happen is this ordinance, if it's the council's pleasure, this will appear, this draft will appear for first reading at your next meeting, March 7th. If you approve it at that time or amend it, whatever form this ordinance takes after the March 7th meeting will be recompiled into what's called an engrossed version, which will be a final version. It won't have so when you see this ordinance on March 21st, it'll look a little different. It will be in its final form. It won't have the strike and insert language in it. But I want to be clear about one thing. This ordinance does not make any substantive changes to the property requirements in the city. That is, all the rules that apply today will still be the rules after this ordinance is enacted. What this ordinance does is streamlines the enforcement procedures. This is an enforcement-only ordinance. And while, yes, it does take the matter down to 10 days from 30, and it eliminates the written warnings, although the enforcement official, whether it's our enforcement officer or it's a member of the city police, we're also authorized on the ordinance to enforce these regulations. That if they want to give a warning, if the circumstances are appropriate, they still have the discretion to do that. They're not mandated to do so. I think that's really it.
So what are the timeframes for,
Sure.
to leave your garbage can out for 8 hours, 24 hours? What's that?
I believe the ordinances that deal with that, I think you have to have it, or you're supposed to have it in the next day. If your trash pickup is on Thursday, you're supposed to have your can back out of you by the end of the day Friday.
And say you have a chronic violator, so how does this accrue, or does this, how do fines go up, or what?
Separate, yes, it does.
Repeat offenders can get the citation immediately.
Okay, anybody can get the
Because they can
citation.
leave it out for 5 days, and it's not 10 days. But if they do it out 5 days, 4 weeks in a row, that's a repeat offense, and so it would have to be, they'd have to leave their can out for 2 garbage collections and say you didn't take care of it in 10
Yeah,
days.
They should have it in the next day.
If they leave the can out beyond the allotted time to remove your can back, what I'll probably do is warn them the first time. The second time it's out, I'll give them a citation.
Okay. 24 hours.
There are multiple offenses can trigger multiple citations and escalating fines. If a person is just recalcitrant about it, they just will not comply. The city is not a jailable offense. Nobody is going to be jailed for this offense as much as some people would like.
Tom, there are a couple issues in my mind. On Smithfield Street, across from the side of my house, there is people own the house, the Levacies, Amy Levacy and her husband, and when they had another child, they moved out. And my understanding, there was a trust that bought a number of homes in Buckhannon, and they were renting them out. And the people that rented the house across from my side of my house were absolutely despicable. They also had a cat that they lived around all over the neighborhood, a nice little cat. In fact, I own it now.
Yeah, I heard that.
But I think we have an issue oftentimes, there was a business agent that represented the trust, and they need to be held accountable, not just the trust.
The ordinance enables the person to be cited who owns or controls
Yes.
the property. So if the property is owned by an artificial person, a business or a trust or whatever, an officer of that organization can be held liable, or the tenant, or the tenants as well.
Usually have a real estate
Well,
agent in town be the manager.
Well, I don't think an agent would qualify as a person who could be cited. It would go back to the owner of the property.
I understand that. Now, another issue, I believe, and I've been told many people call about the opportunity houses and the halfway houses. Some of them are kept up real nice, and other ones are not. And where do we go to have that accountable? Who is accountable for
It'd
that?
be the head of that organization that owns the, whoever owns the property.
Yeah, we
is
discussed this in the meeting,
responsible.
David.
Well, I just want people to know what we're doing.
Okay.
I mean, that was a great meeting we
It
had.
goes back to the owner. Back to the
Although
owner.
the way I wrote this, I mean, a tenant in possession could also be cited, if that's appropriate. That's up to the discretion of the enforcing officer to determine who the appropriate party, whether it's the owner or the person in control of
I
the
mean, we
property.
write in all of our leases that it's the responsibility of the tenant to manage those cans.
And then
They're
that would be
assigned certain cans, but, you know, that's between the landlord and the tenant. It still goes back, as a landlord, I'm still ultimately responsible, I feel, you know, at the end of the day, because those tenants are gonna change and in and out, so.
As far as time periods go, I just want to highlight one thing, and that is that the citation, the ordinance, the way the ordinance is drafted, is that a person is ordered to make the cleanup within 48 hours of being cited.
Yes.
Now, they have 10 days to appear in front of municipal court. The idea there being that if they get cited and they abate the nuisance within the appropriate amount of time, they will then have their appearance in municipal court, and if the cleanup takes place and the enforcement official is satisfied, the idea is that the judge could dismiss the citation if the problem is fixed. Of course, he's not obligated to do that, especially in the case of repeat offenders.
But I think what's important to note that if that person, as soon as this gets cleared off the docket, goes back and starts letting stuff collect and pile up again, now they're a repeat offender.
That's right.
And a zoning enforcement officer can immediately cite them.
They can do that, well, I want to be clear about one thing. The immediate citation will be able to happen the first time.
First time as well.
There is no, you know, the ordinance as was written, a first-time offender gets all these, you know, time periods in which to thumb their nose at the city. No longer. If the offender, and this is obviously, you know, there's a lot of discretion in the hands of the enforcement official here, but if it's appropriate, the enforcement official can write a citation immediately the first time.
But it gives the leadway to the enforcement officer for 10 days.
Well, it gives the person 10 days to,
Yeah.
effectively 10 days to make the cleanup before they're going
Correct.
to appear in front of the municipal judge and receive their fine.
Right.
So we have the opportunity to read through this draft, send you our notes, our suggestions, our
Right.
questions between now and the
the
next meeting when we have an opportunity to vote on it for the first time.
That's correct.
Okay?
I do want to thank the members of the Housing Enforcement Board for coming together and spending a few hours on this this week. And you know, this gives Vince important tools as we continually work to beautify our city. So, and thank you, Tom, for
Sure.
putting this together for us.
You know, while I'm up here, you know, this has been the bulk of my week here, so if there are any questions or anything you can do as far as my report goes, otherwise I'd defer.
Okay.
Tom, I want to underscore one thing that you said early on in your presentation, and that is that this is not changing anything in any of the previous ordinances, some of which have been on the books for 40 or 50 years. We're not changing the substance. That removal of the waste can thing, that's been on the books since at least 86, 87, when we did the last comprehensive zoning ordinance.
So rules as they exist today are not changing.
No new
Just
requirements.
No new requirements, nothing stricter, nothing looser, nothing. It's just faster enforcement.
Timeline.
Good. Okay. My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. The rest of my report, we use iWorks for all the reporting that we get. Under iWorks, we've had since October of '23 to current, we've had 14 complaints, and we've dealt with that.
What was that time period again, Vince? I'm sorry.
From October to current,
14.
14 written complaints, and these complaints, people actually put their name on them, they're valid complaints.
And just for the council's recollection, iWorks is the software we purchased a few years ago that helps us track all of these instances around town. Everything is time-strapped. You can load photos into iWorks. You can make different data entries, journal entries about updates as far as each property has progressed, and everything is kept in an organized file on each property.
Right, and we can pull it up and tell you, download the history of this property, so we know if it's a repeat offender.
Correct.
And that's what comes into play, which, if somebody calls me, a constituent, and has a complaint, I can call Teresa here at City Hall, or I can call City Hall and ask somebody to put that into the system, so that instead of just writing it on a piece of paper and sticking it in their mailbox, and then pick it up the next day or two, it automatically goes into that iWorks software, and you get a notice of it, right, if it's your department.
I get a notice of it. I carry the tablet around. I log in. I take the pictures, put them with associated cases. Yes, we do. And we do the same thing. The same thing is in our works for our building permits, our building and wiring that you guys see and approve all the time. We did 91 in that same timeline. You know, from October. So we've stayed fairly busy, and all of those are in our works. Those will have electrical inspections, they'll have pictures in them. They'll have, you pour foundation, they'll have foundation pictures in them. We can help our residents if they allow us to. Some don't, some want to get the permit and be on their own and not worry about it, and we let them do that. I mean, that's, we're here to help them. If they want us to come and look to make sure the contractor is doing what he's supposed to, we're more than happy to do that. Okay? On the vacant property, I'll give you a little update. When we started this vacant property program, I want to say probably 4 or 5 years ago, we had 150 properties on that list when we started. And that seems like a lot in this small community, but we had a lot of vacant properties. We've whittled that down. We currently have 42 on the list. Out of those 42, 16 pay what's called the assessment fee for having a vacant property. So 16 of them pay, 6 are past due, and the other 21 will be due on May 1st. So the good part about that is if you take the 21 from the 42, that's basically, you had the old ones, that's the old properties you had on. We got 21 new ones. And the criteria for that is 1 year without water service. So sometimes people, you know, let the renter go out, the renter tore them up, they're aggravated, they don't want to fix them up for a while, well, they get thrown on the vacant property registry. But that's our criteria.
So it's working.
Yes.
Okay? And then the last thing that I have is a checklist, and it'll be in your file. We'll have, maybe we'll have Randy put it on our newsletter where people can see. And basically this just tells people kind of common sense. Be a responsible pet owner. Don't throw your grass clippings out in the road and clog up our storm sewer. Trash cans need to be concealed. You know, lawn care needs to be done weekly. So we've got a whole list. I mean, it even goes into obey traffic and speed limit signs.
Where does that appear?
Well, it'll appear on our website.
It'll be emailed to everybody?
Well, be mailed on the list I have. I don't have everybody's,
Okay.
I don't have all residents' email addresses.
But other than that, that's where we're at.
Will you provide a report of what you just told us to Teresa? The numbers here?
It's in your packet.
Oh, well, that's even better. You've already done that. Yeah.
Make your job easier, huh?
This ain't my first rodeo. Any other questions?
Any questions for Vince?
Thanks, Vince.
Vince, thank you very much. I think, our community is very, very fortunate to have you. Vince works here in Buckhannon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also works for a few very small communities in Harrison County on Tuesday and Thursday. But we're very fortunate to have Vince. He does a great job keeping the citizens of Buckhannon held accountable. He often says, "I don't have any friends in Buckhannon." that's sorry, Tim, not even you.
He's got a couple friends now, come on.
Yeah, and that's a balancing act with this job. You really do have to, I mean, we want to be strong-armed and say, you're going to fix it, but you got to be diplomatic about some things.
Yeah.
You can't, everything's not black and white.
Right. Well, you do a great job, and we very much appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
cowboy.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Thanks for the rodeo, Vince.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, you're not staying?
Tim, you gotta,
Be sure to turn
Tim, you
it
gotta stay
on
for
when
the
you
whole
get
meeting.
Well, hello, Skip.
Yep, did you have anything?
No, I was coming to hear Trish. I thought you guys, I had down 7:30, so I.
That was AM.
Well, my email from Lisa said 7:30 PM, and then I heard that she was gonna be here tonight too, at, I thought 7:30 to present to you
She
guys.
said good things about,
So I completely missed it coming and going.
She was complimentary about St. Joe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Skip, while you're here, could we trouble you maybe just to give the council a little update on CON and just some things that are going on at the hospital? Maybe plug the gala a little bit?
Okay, so the CON update.
Which is certificate of need.
Certificate of need, so that has to do with our legal battle with Stonewall wanting to move their hospital within the 15-mile circumference that, if someone comes within that, we lose our critical access status. And so the Intermediate Court of Appeals has agreed to hear oral arguments on 19th of March up in Fairmont, at some place up there where it can be open, because something with students coming and watching and participating in that. So that's going to happen on the 19th of March. Our attorneys with Jackson Kelly will be up there arguing that. So we feel like we have a very, very solid case that they deviated from the rules for CON. So then we'll have to see, once they make their determination, if we win, if they'll appeal, or if we lose, then we'll appeal. So continue to do that. And then, on March 22nd, so Saturday night, we have our gala out at the Stonewall Resort. And so hopefully you guys can come. Unfortunately, I will not be there because I am having 2 grandbabies born in Omaha.
That's the important stuff.
Do what?
That's the important stuff.
That is the important thing.
How many grandbabies do you have now?
I have 5,
Okay.
and I have 3 coming this year. 1 in Morgantown and 2 in Omaha. So,
Right.
yeah, my daughter who has 2 sons will have 2 more sons.
She's got twins now.
So it'll be twins, yeah. Jude, I think their names will be Jude and Simon,
Very good.
for the public record.
I got a
Congratulations.
I got a grand boy, his name's Judah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
We put Skip on the spot, but we appreciate the
Rallies as
update.
always.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I missed Trish this morning, I missed Trish tonight, I've had over 2, man. So,
Keep swinging.
Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's
Yeah.
a new day.
Y'all take
See you,
care.
Skip.
Thanks,
Thank
Skip.
you.
Have a good evening and be safe.
This past, last week, Skip and I were in Charleston for Hospital Association Day, and we made a lot of rounds and spread the good word, and it does appear that the really bad certificate of need legislation piece that was being spearheaded by delegate out of Taylor County with some other regional delegates on that as well, it does not have any traction. So that is very good news. Okay. We don't have anybody else here for public comment. They're all gone. Up next is our Public Works Director, Jerry Arnold.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
Good.
Most of my time over the past week has been spent like some of our other employees, helping with trying to identify the spill down at the station here at Locust Street. So we're still, they're still investigating that. That's kind of the word right now. They're still doing some ground penetrating radar and trying to find some, they suspect a tank. But again, that's where most of my time's been, maybe not spent, but I've been dealing with that an awful lot over the past week. Also, just an update, we were going to go ahead and demo the restroom at the Foster properties on Wednesday. However, Mr. Foster wanted to be there. He was unable. He was had the flu. So we're going to try to reschedule that for next week, probably on Wednesday of next week. So just an update on that property. Sanitary, Ethan's crews are, they finished up a storm extension on down behind Blair's Glass, and most of their crews are working on maintenance issues. Water, they have been working, they did a valve replacement over on Cleveland, and they've been working on meter change-outs on that new line on Cleveland Avenue. Waste collection, just on report on waste collection, we have put out to solicit bids for 2 new waste collection trucks. So I believe the bids are due on the 5th of March. So we'll be taking that up at the next waste board meeting. And that's really all I have. Jay's been out sick, so he's not been in office here this week. That's really all I've got unless there's questions.
Any questions for Jerry?
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
And the asphalt plant won't open until March, is that correct?
Well, it just depends on the weather day.
Okay.
If we get a warm spell and they think it's gonna stay that way, they'll go ahead and open up early.
Okay.
But right now, yeah, I wouldn't plan on a whole lot before March, April.
This has been a weird February.
It has,
Weird
it
winter.
has, it's kind of strange that you can't, it would be nice to be able to plan for this weather
Yeah.
a little better, because we get into maintenance things and then, we have this good weather, so.
Somebody said they're calling for 4 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow night.
Don't be talking like that. That's just not even nice.
Thanks, Jerry.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Take
Have a
care,
good
Jerry.
evening, good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Yep.
Amby's crunching numbers back in her office, so Barb is here. Barb, good evening. She's here to tell us that we are barely hanging on and might have to close up shop, so.
That's not funny.
Good evening, Barb.
Good evening. How are you all this evening?
Wonderful.
We're good.
Barb, tell them that's not funny.
That's not funny.
Might not be funny, but it might be true.
No, it's not.
Okay, so I'm going to report that the balances in the enterprise funds as of January 31st. The Waste Collection Board had $1 million in the money market and checking, $1,506,310. The CD and savings is $308,746, plus a letter of credit for $64,000. The Water Board money market and checking is $1,067,445, and then the working capital and savings is $874,441. Sanitary Board money market and checking is $1,027,937. And your working capital and CDs is $459,670. And the Stormwater Fund money market checking is $191,959. Then we had our first working session was held with City Council. The need to increase police and fire fees was discussed. The next session will be held March 12th, at which time the supervisors for the police department, fire department, street department, Stalker Youth Center, and Colonial Arts Center will explain their budget summaries. That's all for that.
Looks like we're still in business here.
A little bit, yeah.
So those working sessions, of course, was for you and Amby to present the first draft of a
Yes.
next fiscal year budget.
Yeah.
So that's what we're tweaking out. So.
And we have to submit the budget by the end of March to the state.
Correct.
Yeah. Then on your payment of bills, the notables are American Garage Door was $1,282. That was to repair the garage back door of the street department shop. There was the Cardinal Sales and Services was $1,944.18. That was for an air compressor motor for the shop for the street department. And then Comfort Tech, they moved a condenser to Public Safety Complex. That was part of the generator project. That was $1,827.67. And then for JF Allen, $2,825.31. That was limestone for some street projects and for materials for snow removal. And that's it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why do we pay $646 to Buckhannon High School?
That is for janitor services for the Stockard Youth Basketball. Stockard Youth holds their games up at the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Police Chief Matt Gregory, and no pressure, Matt, but basically, you're what stands between us now and going home, so,
Thank you, Barb, for staying. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your report, Matt.
Yes, sir. That's how you'll have a good evening. Mayor, I'll just, the only thing I have tonight is the annual report. I'll hit the highlights.
That's why I said that, Thomas.
He's sorted every year.
I have.
That's right.
I think it was what, like,
I'm keeping
record
track
time?
of it. I'm keeping track of it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, if we get to it, we get done.
Yeah, that's right.
So, just an overview of the totality of the report. The report is divided into three main sections, a quarter of which comprises the statistical data from crime statistics of the last year. The second part of the report are all of the CALEA time-sensitive reports. You hear me talk often about the various reports that we have to make as part of our accreditation. This includes things like our use of force analysis for 2023, as well as our post-pursuit analysis, our bias-based analysis, and finally our SIMMERS report. The SIMMERS report itself is the statistical portion of the report that focuses on, again, a lot of our statistics from the last calendar year. Being that we are entering our third year of the reaccreditation cycle, the SIMMERS report is cumulative in that respect, that it focuses on not just the last calendar year, but the last 2 years, which recognizes years 1 and 2 of our reaccreditation cycle. And then finally, the last portion of the report, which you've already seen, but I also like to include under the auspices of the totality of the police department's operations, is the VIP's annual report. So that's the overview of the report itself. I will hit the highlights of the statistics. Accidents themselves, and again, this is really the theme really across the board with all the statistics, is that it's consistent with not only last year, but the last couple of years. As you recall, I will typically give a trend of at least 3 years just to kind of get an idea of the direction of the various types of issues that we deal with. And again, across the board, really, there's been consistency across these 3 years through this analysis. That holds true with accidents. There were 160 reportable accidents, of which 32 were accidents involving injuries, which comprises a 20% rate, or 1 out of every 5 accidents is one with injuries. The criminal reports, again, is very consistent with the last 3 years. Last year, we took 481 criminal reports and cleared 322 of those for a clearance rate of 67%. Those 481 criminal reports represent 575 separate crimes. The top 5 crimes, again, no surprise, they're all consistent with what we've seen over the last several years. I do give a itemized breakdown of every misdemeanor and felony arrest.
But if you look at the sum total of each of those, again, right in the middle last year with misdemeanors, 274 arrests as compared to the last 2 years. Felonies were up just a little bit with 62 felonies in 2023. But again, that's consistent across the 3-year time span. Again, traffic citations and warnings are itemized as well. The sum total of each of those last year, 166 traffic citations were written and 1,076 warnings were given through traffic enforcement. To give a top 5 comparison of the last 3 years for each of these, in addition to the reports, traffic, misdemeanor, and felony arrests, 911 calls, again, is data that has been provided to us through the Upshur County 911 Center. Total 911 calls last year were 2,277. Again, the top 5 were similar in comparison to the last 3 years. The next, after the top 5 comparisons, the next 4 pages of the report focus on the deployment summary of our K-9 unit. Again, had a very successful year with K-9 Arrows. He was instrumental in helping with a number of drug seizures and assistance with a number of felony drug cases, especially some complex cases that were handled and taken up by the task force. Speaking of the task force, the next 2 pages is a report that is provided to us by the task force coordinator of the Mountain Region Drug and Violent Crimes Unit, of which we are a part of. The data in this report reflects the entire region. Again, Upshur County is one of 10 counties that comprise the region that this task force operates in. And a lot of good work, great activity is being done by all of our members throughout the task force, resulting in, again, a number of cases, often which result in not only state charges but also federal charges as well. And Mayor, that's the highlights, and that's all I have unless there's questions.
Good. So,
sorry about that.
That was the shortest bit.
I'd like to congratulate you. It's from looking over the report at 0.47 traffic citations per day and 3 traffic warnings per day. So we have established the similar ratios to what we found years ago with other departments. So that's great. I saw that you had 4,908 criminal investigation hours and 88 hours in court time.
Yes.
It seems like a pretty big disparity there between the two.
Yeah.
Did a lot of cases get
A lot of
played out?
cases get enter into plea bargains, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, we may have had 1 jury trial last year, if that. And so, and again, I attribute that to the quality of our investigations, our report writing, and the communication that we have with our prosecuting attorneys.
Great. Now, I'd also looked at the section on pursuit report analysis, post-pursuit report analysis.
Yes.
And you had 8 pursuits, range 100 plus miles an hour, an average of 10 to 28 miles, so we'll say 16 miles, so that's almost 100 miles of pursuit with the potential of over 100 miles an hour. You know, we've discussed this at the CALEA meetings, and you know, I got pushback. You're adhering to the police chief's standards, right, for these pursuits?
Yes, the International Association.
I noticed that no damage to any of the cruisers, but that there was 1 crash and 1 of a suspect fleeing on foot.
Yeah.
You know, I guess my concern is that 96 miles of potentially over 100 miles an hour pursuit represents a pretty big potential liability. You don't know that there could be a child with whoever the person is, or what's going on, and that chasing them could, push them into something that caused harm to an innocent.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us want that. And maybe there's a way to quantify or qualify this. If there's a murder suspect, 100% should go after it. But other than that, maybe you just wait till it calms down, arrest them the next day or something, but that was my only observation in the report. And I think it shows the effort that you've put into aligning yourself with best practices, and I congratulate you.
Thank you. Part of the analysis of the post pursuits, obviously, we do look at speeds and length of the pursuits. That's part of the analysis itself. However, the analysis draws on each individual pursuit, because with each individual pursuit, there is an individual analysis by generally myself and Lieutenant Loudon, who writes a separate supervisory report where we compare the aspects of the policy with the events themselves. So we look at everything from the post-pursuit report itself, the officer's narrative describing the events that led up to, during, and after the pursuit. We look at body camera and dash camera video from all involved units. We also have GPS units in each of our cruisers, so that allows us to run a speed profile. That's actually how we're able to quantify the speed data. We'll run a speed analysis of the totality of the pursuit and compare that against a GPS map, which follows whether it's in a rural area, more urban area. So we look at all of those factors as part of our individual analysis, and then again as part of the overall analysis for the post-pursuit report. And again, so your concerns are noted and very valid, because those are the same concerns that we have and we look at when we analyze each of these acts. And part of the policy that, again, that we use as our criterion is evaluating the circumstances. And so using all the totality of the tools that are available to us from the reporting of the pursuit, we look at those types of factors. And we have found that even though in many of the pursuits speeds did top at 100 miles per hour, that's usually the top speed. That's not the consistent speed. Yeah. So again, and we know that from the speed profile that we have, that where it'll map the speeds all throughout the totality of the pursuit.
Well, I noted that 2 of the pursuits were terminated by the officer.
Yes.
That either they lost sight of the vehicle in question and terminated the chase, and so it sounds like your protocol is in place and they're following it.
Yeah, the officer, not only the officer but the supervisor, they both have the discretion to terminate the pursuit at any time that is deemed to be too dangerous. And again, the constant evaluating of the circumstances, as is written in the policy, is the overriding authority that dictates the direction of that decision.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a challenge. I certainly understand, CJ being concerned about innocence. But I'm assuming that if you're in a high-speed chase, you're pursuing a criminal. And being cognizant of potential harm to innocence in the future, that's quite a scale to have to consider. There are dangerous people in our world. And I appreciate what you do. And those decisions, I'm confident, aren't made lightly, to pursue or to discontinue a pursuit. So that, weighing that out, I'll be honest, I'm glad I'm not in your chair or Mr. Loudon's.
Well, I'll say I'm glad that we have you and Lieutenant Loudon, though, to provide these answers.
Absolutely.
Because CJ presented concerns and you had the ability to just give the analysis back of what we need to know, what we need to learn, provide this information. None of us are going to come down and shadow you on every call or shadow your officers on every call. We have to trust you as a supervisor, and I appreciate your approach to your position, your dedication to your position, and your ability to be able to answer these hard questions. Sure.
Matt, I heard on the radio today that there were a number of arrests in West Virginia. I don't know if the task force was involved in that, but I believe there was 16 or 20 in regard to moving cocaine, meth, and fentanyl. And like 6 or 8 were from Morgantown, a couple from Elkins.
Yes.
Was that the task force involved in
Our,
that?
yes, our task force has been very, very busy with investigations, and I might say, in that regard, are very good at networking with other area task forces, where they combine their investigations, combine their forces, if you will, for more positive and effective results. And I think what you're alluring to is just part of that.
Yeah, well, they were saying some of the scenarios were from New Jersey, Michigan, I believe Pennsylvania. But you hear that every once in a while on the radio. I'm glad that these people are being caught.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, they're doing good work.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Good evening.
Thanks, sir.
Good weekend.
You too.
All right, down to correspondence and information. You have the letter signed on our behalf, as well as that was sent to Foster's Marketing Group for our relinquishment of the claims real estate. That has to do with the bathroom jet out on the building across the street. And then we also have a FOIA request for AEL Consultants for the property located at 293 North Locust Street. Under the consent agenda, we'll break this out for Mr. Rigger. We'll do E1, E3, and E4, which is the approval of our minutes from 2/1, the approval of the payment of our bills, and then the acceptance of resignation of Sarah Ailstock Gaither from the Planning Commission. So I would entertain a motion that we approve E1, 3, and 4.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. McCauley, a second by Mr. Rylands. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. And now I'd like to ask for a motion that we approve the building and wiring permits. Is there a motion to that?
So moved.
Motion by CJ, is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Thomas. We'll let the record show that Mr. Rigger will most likely abstain. And so after that, I'll call for that question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries with Mr. Rigger's abstention. Okay, we are down to strategic issues for discussion and or vote. We take no action on F1. It is for our information and review. We will look at that at our first meeting in March. Second is F2, is the appointment of a City of Buckhannon representative to the West Virginia First Foundation. This is the opioid settlement. I would recommend to the City Council that we appoint our City Attorney, Tom O'Neill, to this. A lot of other cities in our region and across the state have also appointed legal counsel. I think that's appropriate.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Pam, we have a second by Randy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. We thank Tom for his agreement to serve on that. Down to F3. The annual Chamber of Commerce dinner is to be held on Thursday, March 7th. That is in line with what is supposed to be our next council meeting. So we've done this in the past. I'd like to ask that we move the city council meeting in March to Tuesday, March 5th, instead of Thursday, March 7th. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by, I think I heard Randy, second by Dave Thomas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. We are down to council comments and announcements. We will begin with Mrs. Bucklew.
Okay, a couple days ago, we had an hour notice that the electric was going to get turned off. And people were asking me, was that an emergency reason, or that it was done in that short amount of time?
So Mon Power sends those out. We have nothing to do with the power company. We then parrot the notice given by Mon Power just to add another layer of communication. We received that notice after 3:30 in the afternoon on, I believe that was Wednesday. And Randy, as soon as he got it, put it out on Facebook. But yes, I reached out to Mr. Connor with Mon Power, and Randy was on that email as well, and I expressed frustration that they were affecting over 1,200 customers in our city, and that was under an hour's notice, basically. And doing it in the evening when people are trying to prepare dinner and do homework and care for loved ones and everything else. So Mr. Connor wrote back and said that it was evident there became an issue late in the day. What was deemed to be more on the emergency side of things, that they had to shut those customers down to protect the integrity of the entire power grid. So that was the reason for it, and they don't like to obviously give those kinds of short notices, but it couldn't have been helped from what Mon Power said in this instance.
I took about 10 minutes to clean up the release, to make it a little bit easier to read before I posted it, but we had it posted in about 10 minutes. I think I'm a student of words. Words matter. And in this instance, what they said was it was a planned power outage, which meant the power just didn't go off on its own. It's a planned power outage if they flip the switch.
Right.
But what was missing in that should have been an emergency.
Yeah.
That's why.
Planned emergency power outage. The mayor and I didn't know what the power outage was about until we got the notice, so it was till the follow-up later. So, hopefully that'll be included next time, because there's two ways the power is gonna go out. It's a planned power outage by the power company, or it just goes out on its own because something blows. So that terminology was misleading, because people said, why didn't you tell us a week ago it was planned?
Right,
But it was
right.
only planned when they found out they had an emergency situation,
Yeah.
a piece of equipment about to fail.
Well, look how it affected restaurants.
Sure.
And another thing, there are people that's on oxygen, and if they don't have a backup, they're in trouble if they're without, the oxygen for them.
Well, again, we certainly had that discussion, and we disseminated the information as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
As that we can, but having said that, I spoke to a lot of people, and some of the things they pushed back on was, well, we had phone calls before that.
Mhm.
So they called every account holder that was affected.
Right.
They didn't call me.
They call.
Well, okay, they called some account holders,
Right.
present company accepted, so, but I heard from, let me rephrase that. I heard from people that received calls. Now, I think those are automatic. I don't think there's an operator that sits there and dials the rotary dial. So I think there's a computer system failure that probably missed some of your accounts. That's all I can say.
Okay, another thing, where do we stand with the library, and how soon do we expect that to be
That's-
put back?
If I can answer that, that's board of directors. I mean, that's up to they're monitoring it. They want that library open as fast as possible. But that's a decision
Well, I'm
that,
just, people's asking me, and I'm just asking.
yeah, I would let them know that it'll be open as soon as they deem it, safe and adequate to open.
So the libraries, our relationship with the library is there is a library levy in our community. We facilitate the pass-through of those library levy funds to the Charles Gibson Library, which has its own board of directors that hires then the librarian. The city doesn't actually manage the day-to-day operations of the library. It's locally called the city library because the city owns the property, like the building of which, but the operations of the library are up to the board of directors. So, but yes, they're working on it as quickly as they can.
Okay. And also I want to announce, my next downtown seasonal decorating committee meeting will be March 11th at 5:30 here in City Hall.
March 11th?
March 11th, yes. And lastly, I want to say what a great Special Olympics thing that we had last Saturday. It was well attended, and Upshur County raised over $25,000. And between me and Dave Thomas and our mayor, we raised about $4,500 ourselves, and I'm proud to have been a part of that. And we were very blessed with the weather. And I want to thank Robbie personally for helping me up out of that water. I might have drowned.
It was a shock to the system, that's for sure. Anything else, Pam?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. McCauley?
I want to thank Dr. Reese and Mike McCauley for coming and expressing their concerns. It's always, it's a tough thing coming to a governmental meeting and making your pitch on whatever it is. And that's helpful to us. We're better for those kinds of guests. March 16th will mark 30 years since Joyce Stockert passed on and left $500,000. Think about that for a minute. I don't think, maybe there is something out there somewhere. Other than when Val Jennings died and left $2 million to establish the courthouse annex, I don't think anybody has ever passed on as a resident of Buckhannon who left more for such a great thing as the Stockard Youth Center than Joyce Stockard. Her husband died the year before she did and left $20+ million to the University of Virginia Law School. He could have done so much. He left $600,000 to his wife. And in the year following his death, as she did a lot of things relative to his estate, she expended about $100,000 of it, left the $500,000 residue for the kids of our community. What a terrific thing. You know, I've been trying to, as you've heard me say before, give these little $100 gifts here and there, but we have an ongoing capital campaign. We haven't done anything big lately, but Pam and I have been talking, Don Nestor, Nancy Show, Rob, the old gang of cheerleaders. We're going to try to get back and do some things relative to the capital campaign to try to get that $458,000 maybe up to a nice round figure of $500,000 in the months to come. So please help us. We're hopeful that USDA will be back with us just about any day with good news, but we still have to sweat the bidding process and hope things come in at an affordable rate in order to be able to build the building. But in the meantime, every dollar that we can raise on our own to add it to the capital campaign, that's another dollar toward helping us realize our building. So please contact City Hall or me if you want to give to the capital campaign, and we'll hopefully have some activities in the weeks, months ahead to raise a few more bucks for the old place. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Dave.
And that money invested now is putting more money out there than it did a couple of years ago.
Better interest rates, yeah.
Jack?
Yeah, my condolences to the citizens of Petersburg. I mean, what a beautiful community to drive through. And the heartache they're experiencing with that. It's encouraging to see what community care is doing here in town. It's really going to tremendously add to the downtown. And Chief, thank you for your report. That was tremendous.
Tell them about Dixon, Illinois, Joe. The controller.
I'm sorry?
Remember you told me about the controller? Was it Dixon, Illinois?
I think your turn's coming up.
Yeah, I don't remember telling you that. I do know we are.
Maybe it was somebody else.
Yeah, we are fortunate where we live. I just got a news report today that there's a community, I don't know where, but the finances are so bad, they had to literally let all the police officers go. They couldn't afford them. And I don't remember which community. And but we're fortunate, and I'm just thankful for the work that our police officers do, and the growth through CALEA, and just personal decisions that have been made, and I just think it's tremendous. That's all I have.
Thanks, Jack. Dave Thomas?
Somebody told me yesterday that the comptroller at Dixon, Illinois, which is where Ronald Reagan was born, stole over $20 million from the city.
Citizens arrest.
I want to thank everybody for donations for the Special Olympics. It was our goal. I think our goal was 20,000, and we raised over 25,000. And I thank Robbie and Pam. I thank everybody who participated as far as getting contributions, donations. A lot of people thought I chickened out by not going in the river. I fell down the night before twice, and Pam kept telling me, you should not go in there, your balance is bad. My balance was bad. So I finally listened to her wise advice along with a few others, and had Chuck, her husband, drive me home, and I hit the bed and just laid down. But it's a wonderful cause, and I still would like to try and go in next year. But the weather was nice. The river's cold, but the weather was nice. And the Fred Brook Garden Club, for those of you who like to work with trees and shrubs and flowers and keep our city beautiful, they'll take memberships at any time. And I know there's a meeting that's coming Monday, and veterinarian Dr. Lambert is going to talk about what flowers and shrubs and so forth are dangerous for our pets, and what the remedies may be immediately to help them get through that. But again, I want to thank everybody that donated, and we had a great meeting Monday, housing enforcement. And I think what's good is that shorten the timeline, just don't let people out there for 30 days not doing what they should do. Most of these things that are aggravating could be cleaned up in a couple hours. That's my opinion. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Thomas. CJ?
We are blessed to have healthcare providers like St. Joseph's. Hopefully everything works out with their ongoing battle over the issues they're facing. And I can't say enough about community care. I mean, you saw that structure is a beautiful 4-story structure in our downtown that, those are powerful improvements. And it's right, we see people walking up and down Main Street in scrubs regularly, and that's a direct result of them establishing home base here in Buckhannon. So wish them all the luck and anything they can do, because 60 new employees downtown is pretty powerful.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thanks, CJ. Mr. Sanders?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I echo what others have said about community care of West Virginia and their working relationship with St. Joe's. We wish St. Joe's the best in their battle to remain the powerful, wonderful medical supply provider it is. But yeah, congratulations to community care of West Virginia. It's going to be a beautiful structure. Everything they do is top notch. They're employing some fantastic people. Great addition to our community. Also want to mention that the city received yet another bit of good news, and this has to do with our Colonial Arts Center. A letter came in from Jenna R. Green, dated February 14, to our manager, Ann Wilson. Dear Ann, I am pleased to inform you that your nomination of Colonial Arts Center for the Emerging Arts Organization of the Year Award for 2024 Governor's Arts Award was chosen by the selection committee. So the Colonial Arts Center has received the Emerging Arts Organization of the Year for 2024 from the Arts, Culture, and Humanities, and that award ceremony will be a little bit later this month, and a couple of board members will accompany Ann to that ceremony to receive that award. So congratulations to everybody who's put all the time and effort into the Colonial Arts Center.
Where do they go for that?
And I'm sorry?
Where do they go for that? Charleston?
They go to Charleston,
Okay.
yes, yes. And I too want to echo the tremendous efforts of all the folks who participated in the Special Olympics. I emceed the event, so I had kind of a front row view to all of the different folks and groups going into the water and coming out, and I kept my distance from the water because I didn't want to get the microphone. It was all about the microphone. Didn't want to get it wet.
Right.
So congratulations. $2 shy of 27,000, I think. It was 26,900. I said, well, I'm sure we could collect those 2 bucks.
Yeah, I'll make that up right now.
Well, there's
So
still-
congratulations to the Special Olympics of West Virginia and Special Olympics of Upshur County, which was the sponsoring organization for that event. So great.
There's still some more money coming in, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. I agree that absolutely everything community care touches turns to gold. They do everything at the highest quality. They have more expansion planned in downtown that is aside from this building, aside from the project that you alluded to, Mr. Thomas. They have another project also on North Canal Street that we'll be learning about in the months to come. They just, as Trish accurately put it, they continue to work to meet the needs of our community. So
I think it's exciting.
yes.
And the reason why I asked the question is that I thought everybody should know some of what their long-term plans are. It's really very, very interesting.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They have established this as their hub, and they continue to grow here in Upshur County. I want to make sure it's noted that although we banded together as a team, Pam and Thomas and myself for Special Olympics, it was Pam and Thomas that raised the lion's share of the money. So I want to thank both of you for your work and going out and raising that money. And Pam and I had a good time well, I don't know how good of a time it was, but we got in the water. So Pam even, I think she ducked under, so.
You did duck under, Pam?
The back of my head.
Yeah. I asked her if she was going to get her hair wet, but she did. So that was a good event last Saturday, and great community event. You know, one of the great things about living in a small town, people do rally around each other, and you know, we saw a cross section of folks from all across Buckhannon, Upshur County, coming there to participate. Randy did a great job of emceeing the event and keeping everybody entertained. So maybe those $2 could be a tip for the emceeing of the event. So thanks everybody for what you do. We've had a lot of meetings recently. We've got a lot more. We're in the heart of our budget session. I want to thank Amby and Barb for all the work that they do to get us to the point where we can pass that budget. Certainly want to echo what a few council members said in our budget meeting this week. We really do appreciate Barb, and you know, Barb is going to be doing a lot of work in the upcoming weeks and months that she's going to be thrown in head first as we wish Amby well in her and she's got some operations coming up. So but we appreciate Barb and being able to rely on you, and we appreciate you being here for us, and anything that we can help you with, we're here. We don't know how much help we can be, but we offer it anyway. So
And we have a meeting tomorrow morning.
we have a revenue and expense review committee meeting. Yes. Thanks to Channel 3 for covering us, and Record Delta, my Buckhannon, thanks for being here. Chief Gregory, thanks for a nice, good, speedy report. Appreciate that very much. So let's take it home. 8:32. I entertain a motion. We adjourn.